Excellent. So you've all come to experience liberating structures, I hope. Let me just tell you the reason that liberating structures are there. Hang on a moment. Does anybody know what I mean by beware of hippos? Anybody got any idea what I could mean by beware of hippos? Okay. What it means is beware of the highest paid person's opinion, which too often dominates in meetings, if you're in a large organization particularly. So liberating structures are about avoiding one or two people dominating. I'm going to cover 3 liberating structures in this session. And first of all, I'm going to thrust you all into a series of 3 2-minute sessions in which you'll go in with one other person. Okay. The first, and I'll give you a prompt for each. The first prompt is one thing that is going well for you at the moment. So I'm going to put you in for 2 minutes into a session with, let's see, there'll be 1 3, and the rest of you will be in pairs. So one thing that's going well for you at the moment, 2 minutes. Here you go.
You all right?
Yeah, well, thanks.
Awesome.
Do you want to go first?
Yeah, can do. So, basically, I'm part of the Kickstarter crew, and I'm like the filmmaker, photographer, graphic designer, concept artist, pretty much whatever. Really, I'll do a lot.
I've heard of you. I speak to Dina probably once or twice a week, and yeah, so I kind of recognise your name, but obviously I've never met you. I live in Ellistown.
Right. Okay. Yeah, it's rubbish here because we're in basically a basin, in a little village. But yeah, got paid yesterday. That's not the thing that's gone well for me, by the way. What has is that I finally bought my dream camera.
Oh, what have you got?
I've got a Nikon D7500.
Oh, fantastic. My first camera was a Nikon, but I've not really upgraded. I got a 2 years ago, I got a Lumix G8X, which is basically a street camera. But I've realized it's nowhere near powerful enough for what I need, for what I want. And so I've not had enough money really to buy my next upgrade. So I'm kind of hanging back until I get full-time work. So I work one-to-one with young people in care.
Right.
So in foster care situations. But I'm, as I say, I'm based in Ellistown. And what's going well for me at the moment is diet and exercise. I've lost 5 stone.
Oh, awesome.
Okay, the idea of this is you just go straight back in, rapid stuff. So the next question is, one movie or box set you have enjoyed in lockdown. Oh, hang on, something's gone slightly wrong there. Okay, here we go.
Hi there, Ben. So tell me about the movie or box set that you've enjoyed during lockdown.
Well, movie, I think, weirdly enough, I think Joker.
Okay, yeah, I've seen that.
Through mental health issues that I've experienced as well, I kind of like it because it's relatable. It's kind of psycho and dark, and I like that vibe. So, yeah, I'd say that. What about yours?
Yeah, I've seen that, and I do think it's a brilliant film, and didn't he deserve that sort of Oscar nomination? I've been watching, and it's actually subtitles, which sounds much more kind of highbrow than it actually is, but it's a box set called My Brilliant Friends. So it's based in Italy, or in Naples, just about the time that the mafia are beginning to have a bit of a presence, but it's not about that. It's about the relationship between these 2 young women, really, as they grow up from being 4 right up to sort of adulthood. But it's just very, very touching and poignant, dark in places, jubilant in others. So yeah, but I definitely concur with you about Joker.
Yeah, well, I'm a sucker for old 80s stuff as well. So, for example, Blackadder, you got Dinner Ladies, Red Dwarf, stuff like that. Monty Python as well. I've kind of grew up with all that nostalgia. I think to myself, I'm very fortunate to be brought up with all that relentlessly. So
yes, yeah. And do you quite like the sort of the whole, because obviously like Joker, it's kind of loosely related to the whole Batman thing, wasn't it? Without that coming into it, are you into that whole sort of comic book genre as well? Or
sometimes I am, yeah.
This one will be the best virtual meetings I've attended have included. Best virtual meetings have included. Okay, here you go. Hopefully you've been in with different people. Here you go.
Well, I would have to say because I'm part of the Kickstarter crew and I'm a filmmaker, I think when we actually joined with a filmmaker and I was explaining about like all this stuff that I absolutely adore, and it was like, oh great, do you want an apprenticeship?
Oh wow,
So,
that's brilliant.
I thought, easy as that, and that's pretty much the best thing. What about you?
Yeah, I like these ones because they're a different variety of people and everyone just shares really, really candidly about good stuff and bad stuff. But I like the ones that I found the best are the ones that begin and end with music, because it kind of takes you, it like puts a block in that stops the rest of the day, because otherwise it's just like bloody meeting after meeting all day. So ones that have had a bit of a different format, yeah, they've sort of, and ones that include like people from all around the country as well doing different things. Yeah, I like them.
Yeah, so they kind of like let you off easy, pretty much.
Yeah, I prefer them to like where you're a peer. It's good because when we have like our volunteer meetings and stuff, I find this is what the thing about people talking all the time. It's always me talking, and I want other people to talk, but no one does. They just stare at me from the screen, and I'm like, oh, just join. I'm used to ones like this where everyone's got an opinion.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to just like I feel like it's a performance rather than. So the good ones are just a variety of people and music, and you've got a job.
Yeah.
Your reflections on that. Well, type it in, but don't press return yet. Don't press return yet. But type into the chat your reflections on the best virtual meetings I've attended have included. And when we're all ready, we'll all press return at the same time. So don't press return yet. Okay, hands up if you're ready. Okay, press return. Finn, breakout rooms with enough time. Tell me about that. You haven't had enough time this one, I presume.
The meetings are always fascinating where you've got that kind of presentation, then we go into the breakout rooms, and I just love meeting people and finding out what people are doing kind of around the place, and you end up chatting for 20 minutes just in those introductions, and then you don't ever get enough time to actually talk about the thing you're meant to be talking about.
Okay, good point. Yeah. And Joe, Jamboard, you like?
Yeah, I think it's just a good way of getting people to collaborate, and just a different way of like people, different styles. Some people like writing things down, seeing things visually. So it's a good way of democratizing the conversation.
Absolutely. For those who don't know, Jamboards are basically online Post-its. So that was a quick rapid energy structure. What did it enable, and where might you use it? So quick, rapid. Normally there's actually 6 of them. 6 sets of 2 minutes. Type into the chat, what do you enable, where might you use it? Something like wild tea.
Sorry, Henry. What did
wild tea? Not the actual discussions, but where might you use wild tea, where you put people into pairs for 2 minutes in a succession of times? because that's what that particular structure is. Yeah, getting to know people quickly. Okay. Hands up if you think you might use it. Okay, let's move on then, because we haven't got much time, to 1, 2, 4 all. 1, 2, 4 all is the most common liberating structure. And what it basically is 1 minute silent reflection, 2 minutes in pairs, 4 minutes in fours, and then come back together. Okay, so the prompt I will put is what is similar to the last one. So what can you do to create really engaging online meetings? So that's my prompt, and we're going to have 1 minute of silence. Actually, it might be slightly less because we've got a shorter time. So 1 minute to reflect privately on that. Okay, and now I'm going to put you into pairs for 2 minutes, and halfway through, I'm going to move you into fours. So I'll put a little warning in, but do that. So two minutes in pairs, and then about 3 minutes in fours.
You all right?
Hey, Ben. How you doing?
Not too bad, yourself?
Yeah, good.
Awesome.
Go on then. What do you think?
Well, I think someone that I actually spoke to earlier during these exercises is background music. Sometimes at the start and at the end, because the last thing you want to do is go through some sort of meeting like this, for example, and it feel like it's like it has to be professional, like it has to be corporate, but not fun, if you get what I mean. So you want to make it fun, and you want to be let down easy, like let go easy after the thing, because you're going to go off, do something else, might as well make your day. You know, make it fun and happy, stuff like that. So I think music is definitely a way to express feelings and emotions and stuff like that. So I definitely think music can be a big part of that.
That's really good. Yeah. I struggle with this. I find I don't find online meetings particularly engaging, other than having short conversations with people. But small group conversations I do find useful, I suppose. But I think I'd agree with what you're saying. Really, I do. It's one of the things I enjoy about these meetings. Really, is you sort of come online and there's some nice music playing. It's good to have a fills the silence a bit sometimes as well, doesn't it? When we're struggling to think about what we're doing. Good. So where are you, Ben?
Well, I'm in a tiny little village called Ostry, which do you know Measham?
I've heard of Measham, yeah.
Okay, well, I live about 2 miles out from there.
Okay.
And that's pretty much where I live.
Cool. All right.
Sorry, Sam was just mid-sentence.
I was cut down in my prime there.
Keep going, Sam. Go on, finish what you're saying.
Well, I was just going to say, getting everybody to speak early in meetings is quite good, because then it kind of frees people up a little bit.
Yep, that's good.
And I was talking about visual and aural stimulus, which might actually enable that process, Sam.
Yeah. Well, Ben was in our group. Ben was talking about music, which I thought was a really good. So that's exactly the same for you, Rachel, isn't it? as a way of engaging. I just like having a little small conversation like this. I'm just enjoying this. This is good for me. I got all this changing around. I find quite complicated sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, we're all still getting used to a virtual space, aren't we? So if we go back to the olden days where we're actually in real meetings with real people, it'd be interesting to see how many of those we have and how it changes.
Do you think there's different? Do you think some of that's different to an online meeting to a face-to-face? You know, like Ben was talking about music, and Sam, you were talking about getting people talking early. Do you think that's is it a different thing online or the same?
I think sometimes, particularly because of sometimes the pause, you know, that it takes to catch up. Quite often, I find it's quite difficult. Everyone's being immaculately well mannered here, but sometimes it's really difficult to get the words in edgeways because the conversations may be just between like 2 or 3 people. If the group gets too big.
I think there's something actually about, I can kind of imagine that if I was sat in a room with the 4 of you and we were sat around a table, in some ways I would find it harder to make sure that I'm looking at everybody because I can't possibly see you all at the same time, whereas I can see everybody at this point, can't we? I think it probably does create a different level of engagement. Sorry, Rachel.
Oh, no, sorry for interrupting. I was just going to say that there is something about body language that, dare I be so bold as to say, I think women read sometimes better than men in a live context where you can understand that somebody's ready to speak. That's been my experience, and sorry if that offends anybody, but you know, where you pick up on people's visual cues when you're in a meeting with them physically, that doesn't happen. I've had a dreadful experience that I'll just say briefly in a writing workshop that I was in over 6 weeks, and I came out of it after 4 because 2 people just dominated, and it was horrific. It was horrible. And I just quietly told the workshop leader, I can't do this. It's making me annoyed. But yeah, but that was for fun anyway, so it wasn't for work. I think it's different when it's work.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with what you say about body language, because I done SIA training, so security guard stuff, and we were taught about body language and the signs that we should look for more, and I was like, oh my god, it was there the entire time. So it's just like, oh yeah, I can see it now. So
yeah. Good stuff. No.
Okay, and again, that was 1, 2, 4, and the all is where we all come together. So type into the chat, what can you do to create really engaging online meetings? Type away. Oh, lots of things. So Graham, small group conversations work for you. Is that right?
Yeah, I was just saying, actually, I've just sat here looking at 3 other faces on a screen. If I was sat next to those 3 people in a meeting, if we were having a meeting together, whether I would be able to engage them all or engage with them all in the same way, because I'm not physically able to look at them all in the face at the same time.
Interesting. And Joe, you'd plan exercises which make space.
Yeah, I think it's just it's one of the things that if you start a conversation without having thought about like maybe the diversity in the room and different people's styles, you can end up just it being suited to your style. So if you're more extroverted, it's just people just talking. So yeah, that's what I think is just having a bit of planning it up front.
Okay, so next question. What does 1, 2, 4 all enable and where could you use it? Type away. Any thoughts? Oh, Rachel, so you have used it. Tell us.
I'm a drama teacher. Have been. I mean, I've not been in the classroom for 15 years now, but I work one-to-one with young people now. But yeah, I love it. And I also deliver training nationally for Arts Award. So it's great in training, and it just gets people, in the olden days when we used to meet in groups, just gets people on their feet, moving about, coming back together. Yeah. And yeah, it's great.
Yeah. That is, of course, a good point. When we're actually together, getting people up and moving is really quite important. And Elaine, equal access to space.
Yeah, I was thinking that with our volunteer meetings, we sometimes there's a lot of people that don't speak. They see them as that they should be presented to. So there's quite a lot. So they don't speak, but actually puts quite a lot of pressure on us to. They want us to come up with solutions, but really we want to be more inclusive. We want their voices, but it's trying to bring them out. And then with the balance of power in the room, if you're dealing with statutory organisations, actually trying to, if it's in our power, we're running the meeting to actually bring them to the table to talk about common interests first, and then maybe the issue at hand.
Okay, well, let me quickly share a couple of screens. So they are 33 liberating structures, each of which have a different purpose. There's, for instance, TRIZ is where you look at the worst possible thing that could happen. So let's say your aim is to, I don't know, your aim is to run a successful project. TRIZ, you look at what would make the project fail, and then you look at which of those things that would make the project fail you're already doing, which is quite intriguing. There are other ones like EcoCycle looks at the whole experience of the whole planning of from seeding to growing to maturity. 2510 crowdsourcing is a way to find great ideas. How do you find out about these? Go to the website, Liberating Structures, and each of them has a defined set of parameters. So let's say Wild Tea. Each of them has these time, participation, space, configuration, and prompt. With Wild Tea, we had normally of 6 times 2 minutes, we had 3. Each pair responds in turn, repeated breakouts, groups of 2, and 6 prompts. The great thing about Liberating Structures is every one of them can be defined in that way, so you can go to the website and find out all about it. There's also an app, and there's also a Slack channel as well. But let me go on through just to the next one I was going to do. I'm not quite sure if we'll have time, but it's called Conversation Cafe. And in Conversation Cafe, you go in groups of 4 to 7, and you briefly respond to a prompt in one round. In real life, you use a talking object. So you pass the talking object from one person to another. Online, you just say, I'd say, Elaine, can you speak next? And so, that each person says who speaks next. The key point is everybody only speaks once in each of in round 1, 2, and 4. So in round 2, you just go a bit deeper. In round 3, you have an open discussion. But in 4, you then think about takeaways. And it can be quite reflective. And again, it enables everybody to speak. We're meant to be back at 11:30, aren't we? I'm going to give you one round, and the prompt will be, hang on. let me stop sharing. The prompt will be, what is emerging for you and for society as we come out of lockdown? Broad question. I'm going to put you in just for one round. So each of you speaks once, is the idea. Each of you speaks once. Let me just check the timings. I can only give you 4 minutes. Here you go.
Hiya.
Hello.
Hello.
Right. What do we do? A minute each, is it? I think.
What are we supposed to be speaking about? Missed the prompt.
What is emerging for you and for society? Nice and broad. Well, shall I start?
Yeah.
So I think for me, I'm just really, I've had several conversations about the different impacts of all of this on so many different age groups and how those different age groups work. So I have a 15-year-old son, you know, how that's impacted on him. He's sort of gone from 14 to 15 pretty much through this lockdown. I've got a neighbor who's got a 2-year-old who's really not doing much interaction with other children. What's the impact on them? What's the impact on older people who've become isolated at home as a result? I just think there's going to be a huge flow out of really difficult to predict impacts on, you know, child development, adult relationships, and so on and so on, in a sort of personal sense as we go forward.
Yeah, I agree. Do you want me to go next?
Yeah,
go for it, Ben.
All right. Basically, something I feel very passionate about is mental health. I've had depression and social anxiety, great, for my entire life. And I think not only the way it's affected others, but how people are going to recover. A lot of the time where I've tried to recover, I've either took it really hard or not at all or really easy. And there's going to be a lot of people that deal with their mental health problems in different ways because everyone is different. No one has the same mental health problems. And if you get what I mean like
Yep.
this stuttering, you know, it's a massive sod. Hate it. Can't talk properly, especially in GCSE drama. Forget about it. But that's the thing. I mean, for me, it's using humour, dry humour, stuff like that. Other people might deal with it in different ways. Some people might go for a run. And you got to think COVID restrictions and stuff like that, because we're not going to be out of COVID for like another 5 years, maybe. It's going to always be around. So stuff like that,
Yep.
Following law restrictions, how you cope with it, etc.
Thanks, Ben.
Thanks. I didn't actually notice you had a stutter, to be honest. I thought you were very eloquent there. For me, I run a local arts organisation, and where we live, it's been very heavily regenerated. They were going after all the retail and stuff, and it's hard because obviously we've been closed, but it sort of ties into society as well, because it's like the light bulb's gone off in our local council areas that actually this is the type of thing that they need, that it's actually going to be changing, that they actually need to invest in more local grassroots stuff that the community do. So that I see that as positive. But the change in society is exactly, I think, what you were saying about how people's lives have changed and the underpinning of mental health, and it's getting them to sort of be part of that new society that actually hopefully is kinder to them.
Now, I've just realised I got the timings wrong. I'm allowed till 11:40, not 11:30. So I can give you a fuller experience of that. I'm going to put you back in the same rooms, and see if you can have 2 more rounds. So in each round, as I say, everybody only speaks once. So I'm going to give you 7 more minutes, see if you can have 2 more rounds. So first round, everyone speaks. Second round, everyone speaks. Same topic. What is emerging for you and for society as we come out of lockdown? Here you go.
Start again, Graham.
Okay. Well, let me expand on that a little bit. So I suppose, let me just think about my neighbour. So my neighbour is, she separated from her partner during lockdown, first lockdown. They have a 2.5, nearly 3-year-old boy who, you know, just, he spends time with mum, he spends time with dad, but he's not really getting much interaction with kids in the park. And so his mum in particular is now very anxious about his sort of social skills, his kind of play skills. You know, there's a huge amount on her shoulders and on her partner's shoulders when they've just got, you know, the little lad with them. And you just wonder, I suppose, how that is going to impact on his personal development going forwards. And you can, I think for me, it's sort of whenever I think about any particular individual in this situation, and, you know, Ben obviously talked about mental health, you know, impacts for you, how anybody that we know is going to find the challenges going forwards, whatever their individual circumstances are. And I've sort of said all the way along, I suppose, from my point of view, I think with the whole COVID situation, we all have our own standpoint around what we believe and how we relate to it and all the rest of it. And we have to understand that everybody's standpoint is slightly different, and we have to be that much more kind in the sense of not just assuming that my standpoint is the same as Ben's and the same as Elaine's, and therefore we are going to agree about this, aren't we? That this is the right thing to do. So I just think, I hope that it's going to lead to some more preparedness to listen to people, and understand that you know, the person I'm trying to talk to right now has potentially got a very different experience of this whole thing, and I can't make those same assumptions. It just sort of seems to have somehow stretched that out and made it more obvious that we are all dealing with this in slightly different ways.
Just want to expand a bit on that, if that's all
Yeah.
right. Basically,
yeah, go Ben.
Everyone has their own limits as well. I mean, last year, what happened? I lost my great nan, I lost my dog, and I actually got engaged as well. So that was brilliant. Also started getting monetized on YouTube as well. Just doing reactions to bloody Korean music. But I could also engage with people, and that helped my anxiety quite a lot. Also doing this as well, if it wasn't for COVID, I wouldn't be in here with you lot. And doing all this is actually my dream job, being as I'm actually recording and I've got to edit and stuff like that.
Yep.
So just trying to find my remote, because on my monitor it says this. There was no operation performed for a long time. Do I want to shut down? No, I don't. And that's it. Humour. I've been dealt with a card which is so rubbish in life. Like I say, I adapt to it, and everyone has their own limits. I have not reached my limit yet. I feel like I am close, but I also feel like that's extending. My limit is extending quite a lot, because me and my fiance have pretty much said, if you ever think of a bad thought, treat it like a different person, because it's not you. I mean, you might see me when I'm concentrating, I'll seem like I'm depressed or something. A lot of the time in high school, I would sit down, people would be like, "You alright?" And I went, "Yeah, I look like this." But actually, I'm a really nice person and really happy and bubbly and all that, and I just want to help people as much as I can. But the thing that I think when people emerge from this is the community, because I only have one thing to say about that, and that's clapping for the NHS. We did that every Thursday, I believe, or Tuesday, and it was like the entire cul-de-sac came together, and we just spoke. That's all we did. We just spoke, and I love that. I hate being on a game 24/7 like I usually do if I've got nothing else to do. I actually like to talk to people like I am now because I can't shut up. So, yeah, community aspect is one of the biggest things that's going to come out of this, I think.
I think you're right. Yep. It made, when you just said that about your face, it made me realise that was one of the biggest things that's happened is that I've got really bad resting bitch face. So I've spent a year trying to work out my Zoom face because otherwise I look really angry. And my sister, we had a conversation. My dad passed away last year, and we had a sort of conversation. There's 6 of us, and there's sort of varying degrees of, I suppose, bullshit that goes on in every family, and you'll get one that says they do everything and all that. And we were having this sort of family sort of thing, like all 6 of us online, and one of my sisters wrote me a private note going, "Control your face," because someone else in the family was talking some load of old crap, and I was being really, because we veer in our family from like Wolfie Smith to Brexit voting Daily Mail reader. And it was the Brexit vote. She was going on, and I was kind of, anyway. So I got a secret note going, "Sort your face out." So, in one thing that's emerged for me over this year is that I need to watch out for resting bitch face a bit more, which is like, it's always been like you said. I've always had people going, "Cheer up," and I was thinking, I was really cheerful then. I was really having nice thoughts, or I was thinking about, I don't know, holiday or something, and apparently I looked like I was really angry. But yes, that's one thing. And like you said about different people, you don't have to have a go at someone if they veer to less than 2 meters near. Let them go.
Oh dear.
Okay, how did that work? Did everybody manage to stick to one person per round? One to only talking once per round, yeah?
I think it's difficult, Henry, without a chair.
Yeah, what you can appoint ask somebody to be a facilitator within the session. That they still speak, but all they do is they just check that everybody is doing it in the right way. Yeah, so that is a role you can have. Rachel, did people manage to speak only once per round?
Yeah, well, we just really had kind of one round. I think we probably did a minute and a quarter for each one, and then had a bit of leftover time.
Okay, so again, type into the chat, what did Conversation Cafe enable? And where could you use it? So it takes a bit more time than 1, 2 for all, but it gives more reflection. So Sam, building other people's ideas, do you reckon?
Definitely. I mean, I just think that people's perspectives just help to develop my own thinking. So, we were, even though we were only having one round each, by the second round, we were all beginning to build on each other's themes, and it became a much more complex and richer picture.
Okay, excellent. And Finn, you reckon it made you listen better? That's interesting.
I do, yeah. I like conversations. I like chipping in, and someone says something interesting, and I'll say, "Oh yes, no, that's what I'm thinking too." And actually, when you can't do that, you're just forced to listen. And actually, that's a really good thing.
Excellent. Okay, so those were three examples of liberating structures. Feel free to go away and use them. There's other ones out there. We also have sessions on these. I'll put my email in the chat in case you want to know anything more about them. We have full day immersion workshops and we have 2-hour sessions, but you feel free to go away and use them. I always like to get feedback on my sessions. So one quick question: how likely would you be to recommend this session to a colleague from 1 to 10? Quick vote on that. It's completely anonymous. I won't know who says what. I've never got 5 out of 7. Need 2 more. 6 out of 7. Need 1 more. Oh well. Okay, I'll end it there. Somebody's not. Oh, somebody. Yes, everybody's playing. Okay. There's the results. Thank you very much. Okay, does everybody know? You've downloaded the app already, Finn. Well done. Does everybody know how to get back to the main session?
I think we just have to click on the link again, like as if we were joining it.
Click back on the original link. Is that okay with everybody?
Yep.
Grand. Okay. See you back there.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.